because there is daylight and because there is night, that we actually live in the light. We actually live in spiritual darkness. We are no different than the individuals that we read about in the Bible. We are in spiritual darkness and political distress. Now, listen to what Isaiah 9 2 through 7 says. And I'm reading out of the New Living Translation. The people who walk in darkness will see a great light, a light that will shine on all who live in the land where death casts its shadow. Israel will again be great, and its people will rejoice as people rejoice at harvest time. They will shout with joy like warriors dividing the plunder. For God will break the chains that bind his people and the whip that scorns them, just as he did when he destroyed the army of Midian with Gideon's little band. In that day of peace, battle gear will no longer be issued. Never again will uniforms be bloodstained by war. All such equipment will be burned. For a child is born to us, a son is given to us, and the government will rest on his shoulders. These will be his royal titles: Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace. His ever expanding, peaceful government will never end. He will rule forever with fairness and justice from the throne of his ancestor David. The passionate commitment of the Lord Almighty will guarantee this. Amen. So if we think about Isaiah verses 2 through 5, we think about darkness. That's what we think about. Israel was in a state of spiritual darkness and political distress. And if we think about that, are we not doing some of that right now? Are we not in spiritual darkness? Are we not dealing with political distress? As it helplessly watched, Israel was watching all the wars around them. Don't miss that. Israel was watching all the wars around them. And what it did was it brought them to a place of hopelessness. And if we think about the things that are going on in the world right now, we think about, could that come here? Could we be a part of some of the things that are going on? Could we be destroyed? And it does. It puts us in a mindset of hopelessness at times. It is at this place that Isaiah introduces the prophecy of hope. It is in this place of hopelessness where Isaiah made it clear that he was talking to Israel. My brothers and sisters, Isaiah is talking to us today. And he is telling us that about this prophecy of hope. And it's something that he tells us year after year after year, because we got to be reminded, okay, that our hope is built on nothing less than Jesus's blood and righteousness, not our own, not our friends, not our armies, not our navies, but on Jesus. And so let's think about it. These folks who lived in the promised land have been plunged into spiritual darkness, all because they would not listen to God's messenger. And so how many times do we have to be told this in the Bible? God sends messenger after messenger after messenger and still is sending messengers. And how is it that we are not listening to God's messenger? And so when we don't listen to God's messenger, what happens is that we get plunged into darkness, spiritual darkness. And so interestingly enough, we have a tendency to believe that we actually understand what light is. And what God says to us through Isaiah is, you don't understand. That's why I keep sending messengers, because you're not getting it. Or you get it for a while when God takes you out of something. And then when you think you okay and you don't need God anymore, then what you do? Okay. You go back to the thing that took you in the darkness in the same, and you just do that. So it is this spiritual darkness that contributes to one, just embracing not only hopelessness, but helplessness. So God's presence in our lives equates to light. And that's all God is telling us, okay? God is light, and in him there is no darkness. But how can we forget that from time to time? And we go about thinking that we're doing everything on our own when God created this world. And how do we think that we're doing something on our own and forget about God? If God created us and created this world, that means that God is here for us. And that if we put our hand in his hand, it's not that we're not going to have darkness, don't get fooled, okay? But we won't be alone in that darkness. And so that's one of the things that we have to keep in mind. Isaiah tells the people, and he tells us, the great light that will appear in Jesus Christ, the Messiah. And so Jesus would begin his ministry and bring light into the very land that now was plunged into darkness. And so it was